Welcome to the RenderNow tutorial. We're going to go through a bunch of different features, and here's the quick overview of the different features and topics that we'll be going over. When you're going through the video, you can skip each topic at the bottom of the YouTube video here. You can see each, when you hover over the bottom, there's a different topic that you can go ahead and skip to if you want to skip to any of these features. So first off, the RenderNow application, an overview of what it is. RenderNow is a event design application that is geared towards creating really good looking renderings that can be created in much faster time than traditional rendering. And the focus is to kind of save time and money being able to create renderings much quicker. The sort of second big feature of it is that there's no need to create any custom models or do any real custom work. All of the features are built in so that pretty much anyone can use the application. If you want to learn more about what the application can do, you can go to the eventrender.com website at the RenderNow page and look over some different examples of renderings, as well as some highlights on what the application has and can do. All right, so we'll be going over the logging in feature, or the logging in process next. So the first thing that you're going to do is head over to rendernow.co, which is rendernow.co, and you'll see this website, this homepage. It has a tutorial and some other information that you can scroll through, just helpful information about the application. But the first thing you'll do is go to the either Start Render or the Dashboard page, and this page is where this tutorial is. The tutorial is also on other areas. We'll also be adding any new features to this page, so anytime we come out with anything new, you can see that here. So the first thing you're going to do is go to this Render Now tab and select the Start button there. And then this will start loading. It typically takes anywhere from 20 to 60 seconds, kind of depends on the speed of your internet. Once the application is loaded, you may have a black screen for just a few seconds. This is just the application initializing. And then over here, there's a little gear icon, and in the gear icon, there's some settings where you can go full screen, and there's some other options as well as different resolutions and different things like that. So logging in, you're going to use an email that either your company provided to you if you've already created an account with Event Render. If you haven't created an account, you're just going to create a new account. So you go to the New Account button here, and then you're going to type in your email, and then Create Account. And this is going to send a password reset to your email, and so then you can set your password, and then you're just going to type in your email and password that you created. And if it's your first time logging in, you're going to be asked for a couple pricing options. If you've already paid through your company in a different way, through an invoice or something, then this window will be skipped, but otherwise you can do a trial or you can pay per project. The pricing options will change. There's also a monthly subscription plan as well, which will be updated on here. So for now, I'll just do the trial example. So in the trial example, you can start by selecting the starter project here. You can't create any new projects in the trial version, but you can save just to this starter project. So so next we're going to go through any support and questions. So as you're using the application, you may run into questions or any support that you might need. So on the left side of the dashboard here, there's a support page as well as resources. But at any point between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m., we suggest that you use the chat application here Monday through Friday to be able to live chat with us, and we'll help you with any support or questions that you might have live. And so that's the quickest way to help out if you're experiencing any issues or you have any questions. All right, so loading and saving projects. So to load and save any projects, you're going to go up to the Save menu here. And if you are just in a trial, you're not going to be able to create any new projects. So if you try that, you won't be able to do it. But if you're paying for projects or you have a subscription plan, then you can create new projects from here. And now we'll go into the selecting and moving objects portion. So to select and move objects, we have multiple ways that you can do it. The first thing is a marquee tool. So if you just hold your left click and drag, you'll be able to select multiple objects. And we do recommend that you use a mouse because of the right and left click abilities. A mouse is much easier than using something like a trackpad. To select objects in this 3D space easier, what you would do instead of dragging from behind the objects, say if you just wanted to select these backlights that are right here, you'd actually start by clicking on the light that you wanted and then dragging over to the last light that you wanted. And that way you can just select the objects in this 3D space rather than anything in front of or behind it. So for instance, if I just wanted these panels right here and nothing behind it, it would allow me to do that, which is pretty nice. Another way to select different objects is to hold the Shift key and select different objects like this, and that way you don't have to select all of them. You can just select a few of them. To move the objects, you can go ahead and use this, what we call a gizmo tool. And what this does is it allows you to move things just directly up or left and right or forward and back within this 3D space. And to rotate objects, you could click on an object and there's a little rotation sign up here that will go wherever the gizmo goes. So you're going to click that rotation icon, and that's going to allow you to rotate the object any way you want it. And then to scale objects would be the same thing. You'd hit that scale icon there, and then you can go ahead and scale objects in different directions here. The scaling object can be pretty nice if you want to scale something to a sort of custom size. So maybe you want this drapery to be a bit shorter or a bit taller. You can do it with the scale feature. Another thing that you want to know about when moving objects is the snapping settings down here. So there are a few different options here. The main one you're going to look at is translation. And so it starts at 6, which is basically 6 inches. So each unit is an inch. And so whenever I move an object, it's moving 6 inches at a time. If I wanted to move it just freely, then I would set this to 0. Or maybe I wanted to set it to a foot, so I'd put in 12, so 12 inches for a foot. For, let's say, any of these panels here, I know that these are all 22.5 inch atomic panels. And so I'm going to type in 22.5. And that way, if I wanted to copy and paste some new panels, I know that they'll go exactly right next to the panels next to them. And then for rotation, it would be in degrees here. So you can change this. It starts at 5 degrees, and then you can change it to something like 45 or 90 degrees. And then scale starts at 1 to 1, and you can adjust there as well if you need to. And next we have camera controls and views. So for the camera controls, the main one is going to be that you use your right click on your mouse and hold and drag to be able to orbit around the stage here like this. And then the next big thing that you'll be able to use are your keys on your keyboard. And the way that you do this is you have somewhat similar to how some video games work, which is where you would use the A, W, S, D keys to move forward, backward, left, and right. And then you'd use Q to move down and E to move up. So when I do all that, I can kind of easily come in and move around the space. And you still have this orbit view, so if you want to move your camera left and right like this, you go into this free view here, and this way you can get a really nice specific view that you might want of the area. A couple other camera features. One main one is the focus feature. So the focus works, if you can see this table closest to us is out of focus, and all I have to do to get it in focus is put my cursor over it and right click on the space that I want to focus on. So just a quick right click like that and it will focus, and then if I put my cursor over this person over here, it focuses back on that. Some other camera features, if you want to see different views of the space, you can go up to this top view, and if you hold the right mouse button again, you can drag around left and right to kind of pan around and see the different areas. And then you can select things from here. You also have a front view to see the height of everything. And then of course you have a left view and a right view. And then two options for your perspective 3D view, which is free view and orbit view. You also have a number of camera views that you can save. So if you want to keep coming back to a specific camera view, something like this, let's say, get your focus, and then you just click on this plus sign to add that camera view, and that will always bring you back to this saved camera view like this. Another thing you can do with your camera view is that you can go ahead up here to, there's a few different options, grid, and if you turn on grid, then you'll be able to see objects a little bit easier. So for instance, your lights and truss and anything that's dark, you can see that it is outlined. If you don't want the grid, there's this lines option, and the lines option allows you to see slight outlines, slight black outlines on your models. And this can be really nice to kind of create a bit of contrast, so that, and if you're in a dark space, you can sort of see a bit more of an outline of each object, so that people know where sort of things are in the rendering. If you're in any of these top views and you don't like the dark color of everything, you can go ahead and change the color to more of a blueprint look, and you can click it one more time and you get a white and black look as well. You can also go into the perspective view and keep this look if you want, and if you don't want it, you can just turn the grid off. And to get the grid back, and you can change color again like this. All right, next we have editing controls. So for editing controls, I want to be able to do a lot of different things with the different objects that are in the space. So for instance, if I were to want to change the lighting in the space, there's a few different options here. So all of your editing controls are to the right side here. down here with all these sliders, you have a bunch of different lighting options. So one of the top one is going to be room lighting. If you don't see any of these features too, you just have to select any object and this panel will come up. So the room lighting feature will change the amount of ambient light that's in the room. The selected object intensity works differently for different objects. So for these two TVs here, if I select both of them and then I change the object intensity, it's actually going to dim the intensity of the TV. The first thing you have to do though is add a graphic to those, and then that will be able to change. But for instance, if I were to do it to the lights here, you can see that the lights will get brighter and darker. And then the light cone angle here will change the size of the light cone. A few other editing features here. If you have a template that's loaded, you can just hit clear template and that will get rid of the current template that you're looking at. And then you can always drag in a different one. Or you can also just drag in each one and it'll replace. So there's also where is it at? All up lights intensity, and basically what this does is it takes any lights that would be used as up lights or even down lights and just changes the intensity of that. So that's just a kind of quick, easy button to adjust all of the sort of up and down lights that you might have in the space. If you click on the color wheel here, you'll get a couple options where you can change the color of the selected lights you have. So if you select these lights, for instance, you can go ahead and move this color picker around to get a different color that you want. You could also change this to all uplights color, and that just changes the color of any uplights that are currently in your scene, which is pretty convenient. If you hit selected object color as well, there's some different objects that do different things. So you kind of have to find out for yourself if any specific objects might be able to change color by using this. So let's say I wanted to change the color of these pieces of drape back here. I can select those and then I can actually change the color of those. You can see that they actually change color, and so that's the actual drape changing color. So that's one feature that you can do as well. So when you're using the application, any object that you select, you can always try to go ahead and do that and see if it changes anything. Some of the other editing features include being able to change fast fold screen sizes as well as truss sizes. So if you were to drag out a fast fold screen, something like this, and you wanted it to be a different size, you can easily just go ahead and change the size of it like this. And these are just standard fast fold sizes. Same thing with truss sizes. If you go ahead to the truss and drag it out to here, you're just going to hit this truss size button, and that's going to scroll through a different truss sizes. As far as groups go, you can create different groups with just by selecting different things. So if I wanted to, for instance, make all these stage pieces into a group, I can just hit create group. And now if I select the green box that's around them, the whole thing will move. I can also just go ahead and ungroup that, and then that'll go away. I can also open the groups, so there's some different options there. To copy and paste objects, this is one of the more important things you'll want to be able to do. You can do it in a few different ways. One is just hit this copy button and then go ahead and drag over, drag your object. The faster way to do copy and paste things is to hold the Alt or Option key on your keyboard and then drag. And that's a quick way to do it. And then the third way to do it is to hit Control-C, Control-V, and then drag over. So a few different ways that you can do that. All right, so next we'll go into adding images and logos to your scene. So if I want to add an image or a logo to a design, say I'm using this design, what I'm going to do is go up to this images button here, and there are a couple different options to get images. So one is to navigate to any type of logo or anything you want to see. So just say graphic background, and maybe we'll use this. I'm going to click on that image, and I'm just going to hit view image, and if I like this image, I'm just going to exit out of that and select the screen that I want to use it on, and then where it says paste links for screens, it says your logo. I'm just going to click on this your logo button here, and it'll change the graphic there. And I can do this for each one of the screens in my scene. And then anytime you want to change that graphic, you'll just go back to images, and maybe you can search for a different image. All right, and if you want to add custom images to your screens, you're going to, right now, RenderNow supports mainly one website to do this, which is called imagebb.com, and there's some resources to create an account with them. It is free, so you can go ahead and create an account at imagebb.com. And basically upload any images that you want to there, and then once you've uploaded your image, it's going to give you a link, and you're going to want to make sure that it says direct links, and then it's going to give you this link, this direct link, and you can just copy that and then go back to your scene here and go and paste that link here. So I'm just going to Control-C, Control-V, and then you're going to select the screen that you want, and then click that button again, and basically that's going to load those images onto your screen. And then anytime you go ahead and save your project, so I'm just going to Control-S to save the project. These images will still be here when you log back in. And also, if you want to add any signs or logos that have transparency to them, you can do that with PNG images, so images that have transparency. So I might type in Apple logo PNG into this, and typically when you click on it and the background goes blank like that, that means it has transparency. So I'm going to click view image, and for this I'm actually going to select the link there and then paste it into this top one. So this is where it says paste link for signs. I'm going to paste it here, and then I'm just going to drag out the logo, and you'll see that that changes to the Apple logo, and it has transparency, and I can move it around. And so this can be nice for custom sort of signs and objects. You can do a lot of different things with this. And you can adjust the scale with these things up here, or you can use the scale marker here. You can also adjust the scale of screens as well, as far as the actual image goes. So if I wanted to sort of move the image down, I can actually do that just by using these X, Y, and Z scrolling editing controls over here. So I can make that larger or smaller, and then move it up and down, or I can scale the whole image as a whole. And so those are some options to add images and logos. And again, if you need any help on that, go ahead and just use this chat icon, and we'll try to help you out there. So next we have venues. So to be able to add a venue to your space, there's a few different options here. The most simple one is just to create a different room size. So you can use this button up here and change the room size, for instance. So maybe I want a 100 foot wide by 100 foot deep by let's do 18 feet high room. I'm just going to hit enter, and that's going to change the size of the room. And you can see that it's changed here. If you want to move the room, you can select this. There's a little square at the top of the room, and that'll allow you to move the room anywhere you want it. If I want to add an actual 3D model venue, there's a couple options for that. We are constantly adding new venues. We're constantly trying to get requests from people of what venues they want. And so basically there will be a large library of different venues that you can add to your account. So you could just purchase straight from here. And then once you have the venue, it will populate just under here. And you can go ahead and drag that venue into the space. So for instance, this is the Omni Dallas Hotel, and you can see that the whole space is here, and you get some cool options. So you can see the top view, so a lot more sort of accuracy to this venue here. And then you can do the things that you would normally do with changing the venue lighting as well. So that's one option there. So now we'll look at the measurement and drafting tools. So to be able to add measurements and drafting labels to your project, there's a couple options here. So if you want to go to the top view, and up here to the right, there's going to be an arrow icon. And basically what you do is you can select that arrow icon and then go ahead and just drag anywhere. So I'm going to drag out here, and that will give me the measurement of what I just dragged from. And you can see the measurement when you're dragging it. So if I were to drag down, you can see the measurement in the top right there. Just like that. And then if I turn that arrow button off, then I can go ahead and use my marquee tool again. And then I can hit this tag button here, and when I hit that, a little label will pop up, and I can go ahead and type anything into the label or label space. So, and then you can just go ahead and drag around the label to anywhere you want it. And then, of course, you can change the color of your layout here to see things differently. So just a few drafting tools there, but they can be pretty effective just for measuring and labeling to get most things you might need when you're creating a floor plan. Next, we'll go over creating custom templates. So to create a custom template, you might want to start from wherever you're at. Say you like this design that you have and you want to keep this. What you're going to do is go up to templates and then use your template. And you have two options here. So one is going to be show saved, which is the templates that you've already created. So for you, it would look blank from here. And these are different template groups. And then the actual template is right here. So if you right click on the group, you can actually rename the template. So you can call it template 1 or whatever you want. And then you can do the same thing here. If you want to go ahead and delete a template, you just select it and hit the delete key, or hit the trash bin there. Let's see. So if you want to create a new template, so let's say we want to create or save this as a template. What I'm going to do is go to Save As Template here. So I'm just going to hit that Save As Template button, which basically means that this whole scene right here will now become a template. And I'm going to type in the name of it, so we'll call it template new. And we have created some groups already, so those will be right here of what group we want to save it in. If you don't have a group, you can create a new one here. So you go ahead and type in a new group. And then you'll see that new group is right there. And I'm going to go ahead and save that. And then once it's reloaded here, you can go ahead and find your saved template up here. And you can see it's called a new template. And then you just drag it back in, and there it is. So all these different saved templates, you can now really easily just go ahead and drag and drop them in. So these would be for really common or often used designs that you make that you just want to quickly drag in and drag out. Finally, we'll go over creating some final renderings and how to download them. So once you got the final look that you want, you can go ahead and create some different camera views. So maybe I want a camera view that's something like this. I'm going to hit this camera view and save that camera view there. And then maybe I want to do one more camera view here. And so from here, I'm going to go up to this yellow button on the right, and I'm going to create a rendering from here. There's a couple options here. You can have this disclaimer down at the bottom. If you use the disclaimer, you're going to want to change the name of your company here. Company name. And then you can also add your logo in here. And to do that, you'll just look at this little tooltip here, and it'll tell you exactly how to do that. So you're going to kind of do it the same way that you'd create an image for a screen, which is to find your logo, whether you do it this way or from the pasting the link onto here. And once this is selected, you can click this button, and that will paste the logo right onto the bottom there, as you can see. All right, once you're satisfied with that, you can go ahead and hit this Render Now button. And what this is going to do is create a rendering of your screen. A little pop-up will say that your rendering should show up below the Render Now application within 10 seconds, and then to click the button. So if you hit the escape key, you can just go out of the full screen mode, and then down here, your rendering will show up. And there's two options here. Downloading high means to download a high resolution image, which is a 4K image. If you want to download the image with the disclaimer on it, you're going to hit this download low button, which will just download the image with the disclaimer on it. So you have those two options. You just hit download, and then your image will download, and it'll be called capture.png, and then you're free to use that for any editing or really anything that you want to do to the rendering. And that's about it. So again, if you have any issues or questions or want to leave any feedback or want to request any specific types of models to be added to the program, you can go ahead and use this chat feature. You can also go to the support tab right here and leave feedback here. And again, and there's also some more resources that you can look at from there. So good luck, and definitely contact us if you need any additional help. We can always set up a meeting and go from there. Thanks.